Hello, in part 2 of these recorded videos, we're going to have a look at the stair appearance in 2D and what defines it. So let's have a look again at our default settings. You can see that we've got this tab called Floor Plan Display. Now underneath this, there's a section for most of the settings that we'd see here. Let's start off at the top, and here we can define which stories the stair will show on. So it can be home story only, or all stories, or a selection here. I always like to choose all relevant and one story up. And then the next section here shows you how the stair would appear. And if we make this a little bit wider, you can see the results. So this is how the stair will appear on the first floor, and this is how the stair will appear on the ground floor. And then these stories, they're coming from where the stair is linked. So we've got the home story being ground floor and the stair top being first floor. If I change this to second and go back to our floor plan display, we've got above relevant story being the second floor. We've got the relevant top story, first floor, and the relevant bottom story, ground floor. And perhaps this might want to look something more like that. So you can see why paying attention to these settings is quite important. Now in the next section, we toggle the visibility of these items. So if I untick this, you can see that I can talk about the grid, the break mark, and do I want to see the walking line? Yes or no? Do I want to see the numbering? Yes or no? Up and down text, the description, and tread accessories, or structure as well on the floor plan. And if I add a tick here, you'll see that I get the options here. So if you're missing an option here, quite likely it's because it's not ticked here. And when we started, the by model view options was checked. So let's leave that ticked, and we'll have a look at what these mean. Model view options are a way of defining the detail level of elements in ArchiCAD. And if we have site selected, you can see that most of the detail is removed from the stair. There's drafting, construction, RCP, which stands for reflected ceiling plan, marketing, DWG export, schedule, and minimal space check. And how does this all work? So if I click on drafting and then we open up our model view options, we can get there by clicking this button down here. Then under the stair and railing tab, you can see some options for how the stair should appear, and then whether or not these elements should appear and what to show. So let's start here in this tab. This section, we're talking about the level of detail in 3D of the stair. There is an option in ArchiCAD 21 to hide the detailed elements and have a more schematic view. And under options, you can select the material and how it should appear in section. I click OK here, and then OK there, and we go to the 3D window. You can see that we get a very basic representation of the stair. That is, even if we change the settings behind that stair. very similar option exists for a railing, where you can simplify the model or even make it schematic. There are options available to us, much like with the stair level of detail. If we want to edit the appearance of the stair in the reflected ceiling plan display, just toggle this radio button and make changes on the right hand side. On the right hand side, we talk about the stair floor plan symbol components. So whether or not these things should show on floor plan in this model view option. If these elements are ticked, then they'll appear in this section of the model view options dialog. Now, what we're being asked is, do we want to show the tread contour on visible parts of the stair, i.e. parts of the stair that are below the cut plane, and hidden parts, which means above the cut plane? Let's have a look at a practical example. So I'm going to go back into my 2D view, and for most of us, we might not want to see the numbers above the cut plane. Well, we might need to adjust the model view option for that. I'm going to go into the model view option dialog, and then under numbering, we only want to see numbering on visible parts only. Let's click OK, and under numbering, I'm going to change this to numbering 21. And here is the result. Let's go back into our stair settings, and we can work through some options. So we understand that with model view options, you toggle the display of elements, and in these sections, you toggle the actual appearance of them. Hidden part relates to the bits that are dashed, while visible part relates to the solid elements. You can select from a variety of different break marks, and you can adjust the size of the motif here. This is also possible in 2D with edit mode. And this is because in edit mode, you can adjust the actual symbol. As much as you want. When it comes to numbering, you can reposition these and you can rotate them. As long as they're numbering 21. Okay, with walking line 21, we can adjust the size of the arrow and the start and end symbols that we want. We can't, however, have the walking line changing direction. And for the reflected ceiling plan, it's much the same. So that brings us to the end of this section on floor plan display. And in the next section, we're going to start talking about practical examples of the stair.